We've seen some very poorly written characters recently in things like Star Wars, Game of Thrones, Watchmen. And I didn't watch that one. I just heard some people complaining about it. And people have been complaining about all of these characters. But that doesn't do us any good. I think we should analyze these things and learn from the mistakes that these writers are making. As an aspiring writer myself, I think maybe I could do better. And so what a great creative exercise to take some of these horrible characters and try to fix them. But if we're going to do that, we got to look at the worst character of all time, the Iron Fister. This show was a masterclass in what not to do. But if I can fix this, I can do pretty much anything. So I'm going to give it my best shot. And here's what I have. We open with a blizzard. It's cold wind, snow, and we see a plane. And these harsh elements are contrasted by the warm glow of a loving family on the inside of the plane. We see our protagonist, a young boy who's playing with an action figure of a hero. We get the sense that he wants to be a hero. But all of a sudden, disaster strikes, and something goes wrong with the plane. The plane starts going down, and those oxygen things come down, but our hero puts on a brave face. Cut to the wreckage. He's the only survivor, but in the distance he sees some ominous warrior monks. And they take him in and they raise him as one of their own. They admire his courage. But whenever our protagonist tries to mourn the loss of his parents, they beat him with sticks. They say, "You can't have emotions. A warrior doesn't have emotions." So, you could imagine this character has some fucking issues. And this is crucial. We established early on that one, he wants to be a hero, he has a sense of justice, but also, he's got survivor's guilt. He feels bad that he couldn't save anyone in that plane. He hasn't been able to mourn the loss of his family. He's going to have some weird psychological shit going on, and that's going to lead to psychological needs, which we will address in the character arc. It's all about the trajectory, and the character grows, and that's what's fun to watch. Okay, back to the story. So we cut ahead 15 years. Our main character is now 25 years old. He's a man. But he's been raised by these warrior monks, so it's kind of a weird environment. I mean, these dudes are always fighting, punching each other, fisting each other up and down town. It's kind of creepy. One day, they all go to a local village because there's some trouble going on. And the warrior monks are sort of like the authority in that area. So they look at this event that takes place where someone was accused of stealing food from this starving village. And he's like, "Look, I've got a starving kid at home. And sorry, I just thought we needed extra food." And the warrior monks say, "Yes, but because you're stealing from the village, now there's not going to be enough for everyone else, ostensibly murdering the whole town. So you have to be put to death." Our hero, the Iron Fister, steps in and he says, "It seems kind of harsh. I mean, this guy's just looking out for his kid." And they stop him and they say, "Look, you're young. You don't know what justice is. The world is a fucked up place, and we have to be strict. You're one of us. You got to carry out the sentence. You kill this man." The Iron Fister, he doesn't feel good about it. But these monks have always done right by him, and it makes sense. And, the man was guilty. So he takes his magical fist, lights it up, and blows a hole in that man's chest. Of course, the man's son, who's going to look after him? Well, the warrior monks take him in. And this is where it gets kind of creepy, because he sees himself in that kid who is now an orphan, and, of course, our hero feels responsible for it. As a result, he starts to question everything. He starts to lose his magic fist powers. He can't fist anymore, because he's unsure about his sense of what's right and wrong. He also just kind of wants to get out of this cult thing, whatever it is. He hasn't seen a woman in 15 years. It's weird. But the monks are actually kind of cool about it, and they say, "Look, you need to figure out what justice is. You need to see for yourself the chaos of the world and how to restore order. So go back home Go back to New York. See what it's like. See what you can do. Once you figure things out, your chi is going to be realigned, and you're going to get your powers back. And then you can rejoin us. You're always welcome. Cut to New York, the big city. Our hero's overwhelmed. He's a fish out of water. And you can do some funny scenes with that. I mean, I don't know, it's kind of been overdone at this point, but maybe there are a couple of pop culture references that he doesn't get. I don't know. So immediately he gets the lay of the land and starts going to work. He's trying to stop crime. He's fighting criminals. You know, in the original show, he fights everyone melee. For some reason, no one's using a gun. And that's really convenient for him because that's his specialty. But, according to John Truby, an antagonist should attack your weakness. So, of course, all the criminals should say, what, you brought your fists to a gunfight? It's not going to work. And he doesn't even have the fister ability. So he's scrambling. And when he does catch a bad guy, he doesn't know what to do with him. He's like, okay, so do I kill this guy now? I mean, maybe he's a drug dealer. What, am I killing drug dealers? That doesn't seem right. This is where we introduce a lot of different philosophies of superheroes. And this is where our character is introduced to the whole team. Cut to Bernthal. So, you're the new kid in town? It's a pleasure to meet you. The name's Cock McShooter. The people call me the Retributioner. I don't have any qualms about murdering criminals. And this is where I take a different approach. Hello, my name is Hells Jaeger. I'm the Little Red Batman. And I believe that while vigilantism is often justified, a criminal should always be tried in a court of law. Man, fuck that shit. Y'all forget about me? My name is Brock Hardman, also known as Tank. And I'm sick of you assholes pontificating endlessly about the nature of justice. Man, I see a bad guy, I punch him. That's my whole thing. I'm Tank. I like to smash things. Iron Fister says, oh, Tank, is it? I think you and me are going to get along just fine. In fact, why don't we find some criminals to beat up right now? So Iron Fister and Luke Cage, well, not Luke Cage, Tank, they go off and, they got a good friendship. It's kind of fun. They work well together. Tank is obviously bulletproof, so he makes up for the weakness that Iron Fister has where he can't get shot. So that allows Iron Fister to get in close range, and then he can do his kung fu. But the more they fight criminals, the more unsure Iron Fister is about his purpose and what he should be doing. And so he doesn't get his powers back. And he asks, how do we stop drug dealing? Like, this is obviously wrecking the community. What do we do here? And he says, I don't know, because I know some of these guys, and they're not bad guys. They just got caught up in this, and there's no stopping it. Iron Fister says, man, it's like there's some sort of socioeconomic factor at work here. Eventually, they find the baddest criminal of them all, which is basically Omar from The Wire, except instead of Omar, it's a cute Asian girl. But she still has the scar. And she's just going around killing drug dealers and stealing all their money. Again, Iron Fister doesn't really know what to do here. There are two parties attacking each other, drug dealers and people robbing the drug dealers, and he's just trying to get in the middle of them and keep them from, wreaking havoc around town. And maybe Iron Fister has some romantic feelings for this new antagonist. Let's call her, is there like a poisonous flower or something? Gotta look this up. Okay, there's a flower called Lily of the Valley that's poisonous. Maybe her name's Lily. Dangerous woman who doesn't trust anyone. But Iron Fister falls for her. Of course, he's a 25-year-old virgin, so he doesn't really know what that is. He kind of sympathizes with her and doesn't blame her for being a criminal. It's not entirely her fault. And so maybe they actually have a cute dynamic where like he'll keep her from killing a bunch of people. She'll say, oh, it's you again. I want to murder drug dealers and steal their money, and you keep stopping me from doing that. We need to talk. And so they agree to meet at some specified location, which is kind of ominous. But then Tank comes in, and he's like, no, I think she's into you. That sounds like a date. And then Iron Fister, you know, maybe this is like one of those funny scenes where he gets nervous because he doesn't have any experience with women. And he's like, hey, look, I'm really good at fisting. He says, all I know how to do is fight. I don't know the first thing about women. And Tank says, okay, I'll give you some advice. And maybe it's bad advice. I don't know. There's a lot you could do with this that would be really fun. But here's where it gets interesting. He has intimacy issues because anytime he tried to show emotion, it was beaten out of him. So he's got some of these weird hangups, right? And then she has trust issues because she's always on the run, and you know, she didn't have a good upbringing, so she's got her own issues. And you got a guy with intimacy issues, a woman with trust issues. It writes itself. Okay, that's perfect. And they can actually have a thing where they go back and forth, where they actually kind of have a relationship, and then it doesn't work because they get the wrong idea about each other. And there's that dramatic irony where you're watching it, it's like a rom-com, and you're like, just have a fucking conversation and get over your shit and just have sex already. And they do. Actually, I just thought about something. So if they're having sex and she's calling out his name, our character's name is Danny Rand. I didn't mention that before. It's supposed to be Danny Rand. It doesn't make sense for Lily to be saying, oh, Danny Rand. I mean, that's gonna be a bad sex scene. I'm gonna change that too, which, you know, maybe I'm not allowed to change all the names. I mean, at this point, you can't do any worse. So I'm changing the name. He's no longer Danny Rand. He's now called Justin because he's all about justice. Okay, get it? It's a little on the nose, but it's fine. Last name, Waters, because he flows like water, like Bruce Lee. You know, it's the Bruce Lee bit. Justin Waters. Yeah, so cut to the sex scene. After Iron Fister has this relationship, all of a sudden his chi is all in order. Maybe his chi was just a little backed up or something. No, but he actually cares about someone, and he gets his powers back. This is just like in Kiki's Delivery Service. You know, she comes to a new town and she's unsure of herself, and then she can't fly anymore. But then, you know, she gets over her shit, and all of a sudden she can fly, and she saves the fucking day. And that's satisfying. Those are the types of satisfying character moments you want. So yeah, things are going good. Cue the montage. Or maybe everything's not going great, because who's hiding in the shadows? It's none other than the monks. They're back, and they're not happy. They see that Justin Waters has been not really stopping any crime. Worse than that, he's hooking up with a criminal. Yeah, so these monks start going around making things worse. They instigate feuds between rival gangs, getting everyone out in the open. Because they're going to execute all these criminals. They think they're going to clean up the streets. They tell the drug dealers where Lily is. And then she gets paranoid. She thinks that Justin betrayed her because she's got her trust issues. And so she leaves him. And our hero is distraught. He can't use his powers anymore. You know, he's back to just being a piece of shit. He's in his apartment. He's playing Stardew Valley. He's drinking White Claws. Meanwhile, Luke Cage, Tank, is trying to figure things out, and he discovers that these monks have been taking all these criminals, ostensibly criminals. Some of them aren't, they're not even that bad. They're just like people who don't use a turn signal or text during a movie or something like that. And the monks are ritualistically killing all these people. Tank is like, holy shit, this needs to stop. So he goes to Justin for help. And we see Justin at rock bottom. And Tank says, get your shit together because we gotta go save the fucking day. And Iron Fister says, I can't do it. I don't have my powers. I don't even know what's right and wrong. You know, I'm not a hero. And Tank says, look, you might not get this, but you and I are friends. And as your friend, I'm telling you, you're being a fucking bitch right now. You need to stop this shit, get up, and go save the fucking day. These monks need to be taken care of. I know it, you know it, and we're the only ones who can stop them. And also, I heard that they got your girl. And Justin says, oh shit, we gotta go. You're right. So Tank and Iron Fister, they head over to this, it's like an Asian temple. I don't know how that's in the middle of New York, but whatever. This is the setting. So it's like this like Buddhist temple, and they barge in. And all the monks light up their fists and they try to fist Tank. And he's like, ha, that's not gonna work on me. But then one of them comes around and hits him on the back of the head, and it knocks him unconscious. And then Justin's like, oh shit, what am I gonna do? I can't fight these guys. He tries, he gets his ass kicked almost immediately. And the monks look at him and they say, you're pathetic. We raised you to be a hero. You sympathize with criminals. You can't even use your powers. Even so, we'll give you one last chance. It's revealed that they've captured his girl Lily. And they say, Executor, you know you should do it. He steps forward, and instead of attacking her, he stands in front of her to protect her. And the monks say, all right, well, you've made your choice. And they get ready to punch a hole in his chest. But just then that fist strikes his chest, and there's a shockwave. Pan over to his chest, and it's glowing. He's got an iron chest, but no, it's what's in his chest, it's the heart. And we see this glowing energy emanating throughout his body. Oh, I get it. It's a metaphor. His strength comes from his heart. So, I mean, this is a show about someone who punches people. It doesn't have to be really smart. But yeah, he gets his powers back. And he says, I got my powers back because now I know what I'm fighting for. I'm fighting to protect those that I care about. And the monks scoff at him, and a battle ensues. But he's super strong. I mean, he's like full body, iron body. So they fight, and he just gets stronger and stronger, and the fight gets increasingly more intense, and they're destroying everything around them. And so this beautiful, like Buddhist temple starts to crumble. And our hero looks around and he says, what are we doing? I mean, isn't this another metaphor? I mean, this is a beautiful temple, and we're destroying the foundation of it because we're too unforgiving in our ways. Of course, the monks insist that this is the only way, to rule with an iron fist. And Justin says no. And he takes his fist, and he opens it. And the monks say, what is that, an iron palm? No one's ever done that before. That doesn't even make sense. How are you going to use an iron palm? And they attack him once more. But all of a sudden, he's flowing differently now, and they can't touch him. Because Justin's just redirecting all their energy like a Tai Chi, sort of like Aikido sort of thing, and they're worn out. And he says, just give up. Now these monks keep fighting him, and you just see how desperate they are. Eventually, one of them almost lands a punch, and you see his power runs out. And he's like, oh shit, I lost my Iron Fister power. And Justin says, yeah, your chi is a mess. You don't know what you're fighting for anymore. Me? I've got my shit figured out now. And I know what justice really is. To rule with an iron fist is tyranny. You're going to destroy everything around you in your pursuit of justice. That's not right. Sometimes you need to open your hand and he reaches his hand down as a nice gesture to help up his fellow monks who are lying on the ground, incapacitated. And again, they scoff at him. They say, "You don't know how the world is." And he says, "Actually, I do. I've been watching The Wire." And I realized that there are a lot of complicated socioeconomic factors that go into, crime activity. You can't just, kill everyone who commits crimes. It just doesn't work. There's always going to be more crime. We see Tank. He gets up after everything's over, and Iron Fister is like, "Oh, you went down in one punch, big guy." And Tank says, "You really think they knocked me out?" It just says, "Holy shit, you were faking? I really could have used your help. You were just pretending to be knocked out?" Tank says, "I knew this was your fight, and I knew you had it in you. I told you could save the fucking day." And he did. So he rescues Lily, they embrace, and it's a happy ending. Until season 2. Lily gets killed, and then the whole team has to come back. The Retributioner is there. He says, "What you need is retribution." Little Red Batman says, "No, don't give in. Seeking revenge is only going to make things worse." Even the monks come back, and it's like, "Wait, what are you doing here?" And they say, "Look, you were there for us. We were wrong. Now we're there for you. And whatever course of action you want to take, we got your back." We really get to see how these different ideas play off of each other, different philosophies about, can you stick to your guns with this idea about forgiveness? Will you be more punitive? Do you seek retribution? Is your chi going to be a mess? I'd love to see in season 2, Iron Fist, or maybe he does like a tiger claw or something. So it's like an iron claw, and he's just like ripping dudes' hearts out. Like, that would be cool. If he kind of goes to the dark side and he's like, super dark side Iron Fister, and then he has to come back and sort of like figure out what's going on. And the whole time, like, his body is responding to it, which is how that metaphor works. And you gotta find your balance. And without even making a commentary about crime in America, you can have that obvious metaphor where you have to balance punitive and restorative justice. You can't be too hard on crime, but obviously crime exists and you have to do something about it. And that's interesting. But again, it doesn't have to be too smart. This is a show about a guy punching people, and that's what we got. The important thing is to show that the character has grown. And when you see that change in the character, then it makes it worth it. But when you watch 13 fucking episodes of a show it's just a waste of time, and it's not good. And that's why you have things like this. I found this 90% off. This is an Iron Fister action figure. No one wanted to buy it for some reason, so 90% off. There's our Fister. I mean, you can't blame anyone for not wanting this. I think people are most connected to characters who have the best arcs. That's just my theory. Could be wrong, but maybe I'm just a little buzzed. But it seems like there's a meta-narrative at work here, because as I play with this action figure, the protagonist that I created in my version of the story was playing with his own action figure. And in the same way that he idealized heroes, I have an idealized version of myself too. He wanted to become a hero. I want to become a better writer, which makes sense because maybe I want to go through my own character arcs. I want to grow as a character too. Aren't we all just the protagonists of our own stories? Yeah, I took it too far. But look, if you've watched this much of the video, thank you for watching. There's an online petition to get another season of this. I think we're up to about 30,000 signatures, something like that. So, I mean, it's pretty good, but please sign that because we got to have more of this character. We got to bring back Iron Fister. And I've started another petition, not just to bring back this character, but to let me write it. If anyone from Disney watches this, Disney, I think it's clear that your brand could use my help. Okay, so yeah. So season 1 of Iron Fist got a 20%. 20% on Rotten Tomatoes. Disney, your brands are only going to benefit from my involvement. You got to put me in. I know what I'm doing. So let me rewrite all of your characters. Thank you.